I've been cooking for over 30 years, and somehow I'd never heard of the chopped cheese. It's one of New York's most famous sandwiches, and it was invented in a corner store. No restaurant, no chef, a bodega. Now there's some debate over who actually came up with it, but more on that in a bit. First, I've got a few chef techniques to make it even better, and maybe even better than the bodegas. Sound good? Let's cook. I'm going to start with a large yellow onion. 2 medium-sized onions, they should work pretty well. And you can certainly use a red, white, or sweet. Whatever you've got on hand will be great, promise. All I'm looking to do is small to medium-sized dice it. Once it's done, it's time to caramelize it on my flat top. And yeah, I realize I'm a bit spoiled here because I have a built-in. But I know so many of you have a Blackstone these days, and if not, a griddle or just a plain old cast iron skillet works perfectly. No need to overcomplicate things. Once you're up to medium high heat, or about 350 degrees F, add on 1 to 2 tablespoons of neutral flavored cooking oil, butter, or better yet, beef tallow. Then add on the onions, give them a gentle season of salt, and the goal here is to caramelize them up, which will take probably about 20 minutes or so. I like to spread them out just to cover more surface area and then come back every few minutes to give them a little stir. And I can't tell you just how much of a difference caramelizing onions will make to the overall flavor of this sandwich. It's a really simple technique, but well worth the squeeze. Just a bit more time, good food can become great. Okay, while these cook, let's be a good steward of our time and knock out just a bit more meat, starting with some tomatoes. I'm a big fan of using Romas just simply because it's a solid tomato flavor-wise that you can use even in the off-season. But if you're in season, go get yourself a vine ripe. I'm just looking to thinly slice these, nothing more. Next up, I'm going to thinly slice some iceberg lettuce, but we need to remove the core first. So just give it a little hit on the cutting board and then simply pull it out. From there, I'm going to slice it in half, then in half again, and then it's time to get your chop on. The goal is for it to simply be shredded lettuce. That's it. You've got this, my friends. Now, let's go back and check out the onions and give them a little stir. First and foremost, it smells ridiculous in here. And how can it not? We're caramelized onions in beef tallow. Just going to give it a little try. Yep, already delicious. They're looking really good, and they're almost done. But first, let's bring out the beef. I've got 3 pounds of freshly ground chuck, which is 80 to 20 lean to fat ratio. I wouldn't recommend going any higher lean to fat than maybe 85-15. Now you can certainly grind your own beef if that's for you, and you can check out my cut of beef combo that I use on my Oklahoma onion burger. But to me, the most important aspect of this beef is that it is freshly ground. Don't get the prepackaged super packed in beef, and I'll show you why in a second. But first, what I want to do is make little mounds of beef that I'm going to spread out on a sheet tray lined with, you guessed it, parchment paper. 15 years in the restaurants ruined me. Parchment for everything, but of course, doing this on a platter is absolutely fine. I know this seems a little weird, but it will be huge in getting a really good sear on the beef. More Maillard means more umami, which in return means more flavor. It's little techniques like this that always make meals worth remembering, and this only takes 2 to 3 minutes to do. That's it. And on another note, I'll most likely only use 2 pounds of this because, well, it's a lot of beef. And this is why you use freshly ground, because if it's packed in those pre-packages, you can't really spread it out and break it into nice little chunks like this. Okay, the prep is done, and let's go check out the onions, and yes, this is what you want. These should be at least this brown when you're doing it at home. And I promise you can absolutely pull this off, my friends. Now, the chopped cheese really is a true New York bodega sandwich, and it's most closely tied to Harlem, and a spot called Hoagie's, which is also known as Blue Sky Deli. But like a lot of great New York food, the story's a bit complex. And at the end of the day, it was meant to be simple, affordable, and filling, and pure New York. All right, let's get to the beef. Okay, at this stage, let's get all those delicious caramelized onions off the flat top and into a bowl to set to the side. Don't put it too far though, because we're actually going to need it in just a second. Now, I'm going to carefully add about 1 pound of those loose little mounds of beef right onto the flat top. Once it's on there, you're going to want to immediately smash it down using 2 spatulas. Now you don't have to go all Hulk style here, you just want to flatten it out to cover as much surface area as possible so that you can get a deeper brown across more of the beef. It's just as simple as that. After it's flat, we want to immediately season it, and what you choose to season it with, to me anyways, is really important. Salt and pepper will absolutely work, but to keep that Latino neighborhood influence, adobo or sazón, or even a combo of both just makes this sandwich superb. Also, I've seen chicken bouillon powder as an option, and I can attest it's dang tasty. Pre-packets, sorry, aren't for me. I just want to know exactly what's in everything I cook and eat, so I've got some homemade versions that are literally identical to store-bought and so easy to make. You can grab on my site at billyparisi.com. At this point, I'm going to season it with about 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of adobo and follow it up with about 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of sazón. To me, this combo just makes this ridiculous, and I think once you taste it, you're going to agree. You season it at this point because the beef is spread thin, and all those flavors will season the whole surface evenly. I'm just going to let the beef sit here for about 2.5 to 3 minutes. It'll cook 2/3 of the way just sitting here. Then, using a wooden spoon, spatula, or a griddle scraper, you want to chop up and break up the beef. There really isn't any artwork to this, and if you've ever been to an O'Charlie's or even gotten a Philly made to order, you've seen cooks do this. And sorry to say, I think I may like this more than a Philly. We'll see. The end goal is crispy small bits and bigger, juicier chunks. It's a combo. We aren't looking to make taco meat here. Now, I like to bring in the onions and add about 1/2 of them just when the beef is almost completely done. That extra juice from the beef just helps revive the onions up. And at this stage, one last taste. It's delicious, by the way. There is no better way to become a better cook than trying food at as many stages as possible. When I was in the restaurant industry, we had spoons everywhere because tasting was encouraged and you wanted to do it because it will make you a better chef. Plus, it is without question a more enjoyable way to enjoy cooking because you get to eat. All right, we're almost done, but first, let's talk about the bread. The classic is a soft hero roll like this, but French bread, a hoagie, or sub bun, or even a bolillo bread will all work. I'm just going to slice it in half, and then I want to brush with a little mayo on each side to help brown and toast it up. Now, you can make your own mayo or just use Duke's. For all the NYCers watching, this is a down south delicacy that is well worth your time to pay attention to. Promise. Just place down the bread cut side down near the beef and toast it up. And in the meantime, let's wrap up the beef. We're going to add down 3 to 4 American cheese slices, and yep, that's the classic cheese, and to me it's always the best cheese to use with ground beef. I said what I said. Let it stand for a minute or two, and once it starts to melt down like this, you chop it in just like you did before. This will sort of emulsify everything together, from the beef fat to the onion juices to the seasoning to those little browned up bits, and make things so creamy and so delicious. Now, let's have a look at the bread, and yeah, mayo is always the winner on toasting up bread. Don't skip the Dukes. Alright, it smells just ridiculous in here. It's done. But before we eat, here's how you plate and serve up a chopped cheese. Just a bit more mayo on the toasted buns. Then a little thin strip of ketchup. Next, add that chopped cheesy beefy goodness to the bottom bun. Be sure to keep it compact and don't spread it too thin. Just as an FYI, you'll use about half the beef for a roll this size. Then a few slices of tomatoes, a quick season of salt and pepper, and lastly, some shredded lettuce. And to keep this thing legit, wrap it up tight in foil and let it rest for 1 to 2 minutes. This will help sort of steam everything and warm it all up into seriously one insane sandwich, and I cannot wait for you all to try this. And now the moment of truth. A slice, and yeah, come on now. Traditionally, this is served up with some chips, which you can just pick up, or you can go all in and make your own, which I've got an awesome homemade recipe for if you want to go that route. Next, hit it with a few pickle spears, and then for the drinks. A Coke, an Arizona iced tea, or a Snapple, all are good on this. And if some of that Middle Eastern bodega stuff got you interested, I've got a homemade hummus recipe that will absolutely change the way you feel about some of that store-bought stuff. I'll see you over there.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Going in again. Bro. That's so good.